video is going to blossom. Every possible type of motion picture will be put out in home video, and as many people as you have in the world, that's how many interests there are, and they will want to see everything.
It was always a bit of a thrill to pop one of these VHSs into your machine and see a film you couldn't see anywhere else.
I was there when it was like thriving, and then there when it started dying out, so it was there for me to just kind of like, okay, like, oh, you come with me.
We're still watching tapes nowadays. I mean, we're not in our flying cars, but we're still watching VHS tapes from, 1976.
Why VHS? Why not?
There's people who hate tapes, and it's like you're asking them, like, hey, do you guys have like diapers filled with vomit? And they're like, oh, no, why would we have those?
If we don't get this stuff, no one else will, and that's really scary.
It's sort of like, I guess some people are compelled to or volunteer at animal shelters and save poor little kitty cats. And I felt compelled to go to thrift stores and save those poor lonely VHS tapes.
Look at this. Oh, that smells so good. And you know what? I only paid about $1.25 for this tape.
So VHS has always been just like fucking my balls. That's my manhood right there.
You're watching television.
We're watching Selectavision, the 4-hour video cassette recorder from RCA.
Selectavision gives us the best of television. We've recorded the best action,
the best movies,
even the best educational shows. Sometimes there's nothing good for them on television.
But there's always something good on Selectavision.
It was 1977, and it was like the SOS came in over the phone, like beep, 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 VCR, and we live in the heart of Sopranos land. Which, if anybody watches the show Sopranos, you'll kind of understand what I'm saying when it's like, use the term fall off a truck. So apparently, and as a kid I didn't know what was going on, apparently this VCR fell off a truck in 1977, and all of a sudden, my dad was like, he was in the kitchen counting money. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, we're buying a video recorder. I'm like, really? It was $500, and it changed my life.
I was 4 years old, and my grandfather brought home a top-loader VCR, and we could not believe that you could watch movies at home. Like, we couldn't get our heads around it, and not just because I was 4, but like, my 58-year-old grandmother was like losing her mind. She's just like, so anything we want to watch. And my it was based, of course, at that time on the availability of any given title, which was pretty sparse. But as the expanding selection became available, like, it really seemed like this bold new world. And there's that talk about people thinking like TVs were going to replace movies, back in the 50s. Like, it really felt like home video was this massive change.
If it's obvious what your family wants for Christmas.
When video hit, I was like right on top of this thing. I mean, I went out and bought my first video recorder. Was about this big, weighed about 90 pounds. I paid about $800 for it. Had like big piano keys you depressed, a wired remote. And the first 2 tapes I bought were $60 a piece. It was Night of the Living Dead and Assault on Precinct 13.
And these movies, they were all like $70 and $80. And I remember some rich woman coming in saying, I don't know if I should buy Nashville or MASH. And she went, I'll buy both. And I was like, wow, that's the luckiest, richest lady I've ever seen in my life.
Hi, I'm Michael Pollack, and I'd like to personally invite you to see the all-new Colonial House Apartments, where I've created an exciting new lifestyle in beautiful Southwest Houston. Move today to the Colonial House Apartments and receive a free video recorder.
I used to go to these video stores long before I could ever afford a video machine. And I would just stare at the tapes and drool.
And 83 was the real golden year of VHS. And that's when, in my towns and all the neighboring towns, every other corner had a mom and pop video store on it. They just popped up.
The mom and pop video stores, which were really the main, they were like bookstores. You'd go in, you'd browse, you'd find an interesting title. It might be Bloodsucking Freaks, or it might be the Queen Elizabeth story. But there was a variety.
That's Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, part 2. Friday the 13th Part 3, Friday the 13th Part 4, and Friday the 13th Part 5. I have got to find another job.
Oh, can I have one of these? There was a line. You had to wait online, and you had to hope that your tape was in. If you were looking at something and you saw it, you grabbed it.
Hey, it's mine. I had it first.
I'm very sorry, ma'am. Excuse me, sir. All tapes first come, first I saw it first, and she knows it.
Yeah, I remember video stores as being really like a haven. Like the most exciting places you could walk into would be a video store or a free candy store, which I never found. So like, and of course everyone remembers the stuff in the video store that you were thinking, as soon as I'm 18, I'm all over that. Like I'm gonna rent that like crazy. I mean, it was hard enough for me to get my grandma to let me rent Critters 2, you know? But I remember, of course, like the big box cover for Return of the Aliens Deadly Spawn, just like screaming to me, like touch me, you know, like it really, stuff like that was really just like such incredible forbidden wonder.
You know, as a kid, you could go into the store and buy, you know, rent unrated movies, X-rated, really extreme stuff, and not have to worry that the, you know, pop behind the counter was going to refuse you. You know, you couldn't buy a Playboy if you were 13, but if you went in for, you know, I Spit on Your Grave, they had no problem selling it or renting it to you.
They should have sold me space. I should have had a bed there. Because I basically lived in these places. I mean, I can't joke about that. I was there whenever I'd get home from school or college, and boom, I was at the video store.
What are you looking for, pal?
I'm looking for, whatever you got, horror. That's right. Any horror you got. Just name me a title.
How about 2000 Maniacs?
I saw it. I saw it.
Bloodthirsty butchers. They chop them, they whack them, they smack them.
No. It's obvious you don't got nothing here that I want horror-wise. I came in here for horror, and you don't got it.
You're telling me, buddy?
Help me. Listen, how about something just a little bit romantic? You know, I wanted horror. It's
romantic?
How about love story?
Love story? All right, well,
Hey, don't touch me!
It really was a thrill to own that video store in that period. Then Blockbuster killed it for everybody.
I've never seen 10,000 tapes in one store.
There's so much kid stuff.
And I can keep them for 3 evenings.
Ordinary video stores don't even come close to Blockbuster Video.
So back in the 80s, late 80s or early 90s, Blockbuster all of a sudden became, you know, the monster.
Blockbuster was the beginning of the end. Blockbuster was truly the beginning of taking any personality out of video stores, out of all that stuff, out of just the entire culture.
Blockbuster Video has a policy not to rent R-rated videos to kids. Other tapes even have a youth-restricted viewing sticker, so the CSR spots them easy at the checkout. On top of that,
the little guy could not compete with the amount of new releases that Blockbuster was putting on the shelf. So you had the new Steven Seagal movie, you know, they'd have 50 copies. Like,
now Steven Seagal is hard to kill.
Some of them had a fair selection of tapes, but I feel like they probably only had those tapes because I imagine they absorbed them from some mom and pop shop that they destroyed and bought out. I don't think they had some buyer at the top that was like, headless eyes, this would be good for our customers. You know, like I don't think they cared.
See, what a lot of people don't know is Blockbuster and a couple of these other chains got together with the film companies and said, if we can raise the wholesale price up, and I think Die Hard was the one they did it with, where it was some astronomical amount wholesale, all the mom and pop stores could afford is one damn tape. And where Blockbuster had 60 days to pay, they could get 20, 30 copies.
How could you buy 6 copies at $99 of a movie that's going to have legs for 2 weeks and then they're going to want the next first run movie? So that's what killed the mom and pop stores. Porn could have kept us in business, but even that, the internet killed that.
So as these stores started going down, there we were buying tapes. Now, what these stores would usually do is they would try to recoup as much of their money as possible. They're trying to sell the tapes for like $29. If you just waited a couple of weeks, it went down to $20, then to 15 to 10. The longer you waited, the more it went down. And we were just looting these places. And I recall one incident, I cannot forget this. I went into this one place and I'm buying up the tapes, and the girl who was checking us out was almost in tears. She was like, I guess she was a co-owner or owner of this place, and she was like, we paid $100 for some of these tapes, and she goes, now we're selling them for it was like $3.90, whatever she was selling them for, $3.85, all right? $3.85.
This is DVD. And this is what happens when you watch DVD. It's a movie on a disc the size of a CD. The picture is twice as sharp as VHS.
DVD came along, and stores, you know, just small-mindedly started to ditch all of their VHS. Like, yes, we have DVD, like, it's here. And they started making room for the DVD stuff.